Well, good afternoon, everybody. How's everybody doing today? This is Mitch coming to you live from the Lamppost Coffee Shop, Austin, Texas. We're just hanging out, trying to enjoy the sunny day after some wet weather over the last couple of days. We hope you're doing okay today and staying dry. We've been wet the last couple of days and it's been cold, but the sun looks like it's coming out, so that's good. Winter time has arrived, no doubt. We're just hanging out, drinking coffee, and want to invite you to join us as we talk about anything you want to talk about. Just jump into chat and we'll start talking about anything you want to discuss. I do have things to talk about, even though we're opening up the chat, opening up the discussion to just about anything you want to talk about. But until we have some folks join us, I do have to have some things to talk about. So we've been talking about all week about storytelling, about how important it is to tell stories on YouTube and in our videos. In our content creation, we want to take advantage of what telling a story will do for us. So we've been talking about that all week, and today we're going to home in a little bit on you in the story and me in the story, and how we can involve ourselves in the narrative without overdoing it, without providing too much personal information. How do we involve ourselves in the story and reveal a little bit about ourselves and our lives and those around us and our family, but yet protect the privacy that we desire as well? How far should we go? So let me ask you that. If you're going to share your video, share a little bit about your life and about what you're doing and about your family and about those who surround you, your friends, how much of them are you willing to share? How much of them do you want to keep private? How much should we protect about our own privacy as we make these videos and we create this content? How much do we want to divulge? Because we forget that the video on YouTube that we submit and upload is there for everyone in the world to see. Not just the United States, but every country. Just about every country in the world. So, on one hand, you want to be careful. We want to protect our privacy, but on the other hand, we want to come across to our viewers as authentic and share our lives with each other. So, there's a balance there somewhere, but we're going to touch a little bit on that today, talk a little bit about what it means to share ourselves in the story, in the narrative. Just a little update. There's not a whole lot of news I can tell you about what I'm doing. I've come across a few things over the last day or so, since yesterday, that I've wanted to throw at you, and I don't know how you think about this. I kind of think about these things all the time. Defining YouTube success. Defining YouTube success. I'm not sure how to do that. I get confused sometimes. I'm not real sure yet on how to define YouTube success. Because for some people it's to get monetized as quickly as possible. We want to make money. We want to turn our adventures into a money-making deal, perhaps as a full-time job. So that's one thing. That would be one way of measuring success, I suppose. Then there are others who want to just do this thing on YouTube as a hobby and really don't care much about the money aspects. They just want to do it because it's fun. They want something to do. So I'm not sure how you define success. And I also get confused about these gurus, these major influencers, with their coaching routine and their offer of courses and their advice on what we need to do in order to get viewers. And I wonder about that as well, because I was watching Think Media with Sean and his pal on Think Media, that they uploaded a video this morning that I was watching, and they were talking about those critical things that we need to do to be a success on YouTube. And they talked about how important the thumbnail is, and how important the title is, and how important the content is, and how we need to spend a lot more time in preparing our content, and talking about how being lazy won't cut it anymore, and how we need to become much more professional, much more, I suppose, much more slick. I don't want to use the word slick. I guess I want to use the word organized, professional, or, you don't want to be an amateur. They were basically saying that an amateurish approach, a lazy, lackadaisical approach to YouTube creation won't work in this day and age. That because of the competition, and there's this desire, this strive to get attention from viewers. So what confuses me is I hear that on one hand, and then on the other hand I see people like we looked at yesterday, this 80-year-old gentleman who was monetized in 3 weeks and reached 10,000 subs in about 5 months, and he was everything opposite of what Sean was talking about this morning on Think Media. He didn't have a fancy thumbnail. He doesn't care about titles. He comes across as really authentic and real on camera. He says he doesn't do any editing. He just gets on camera and talks, and then if he messes up, he just does it again. So he doesn't do any editing. So how in my mind can I figure this out here? How can I accept? I guess they both can be true, in the sense that you have to have good thumbnails and good titles and good content to be successful. But then on the other hand, it seems that being real and authentic and not being so slick, not being so professional, will also succeed. So I guess the way that I'm trying to look at this whole idea of success on YouTube is success is defined in so many different ways that there's just not one good way to do it. There just isn't. And I have to think about these YouTube coaches and YouTube influencers and people that are telling us that we have to do certain things in a certain way. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, of course they're going to say that because they're trying to sell their coursework. They're trying to sell their coaching. It's going to be kind of hard to sell your coaching material if you're going to tell people that you don't really need coaching, that you just turn on the old camera and just let her rip. Doesn't take much coaching to do that. So, what do you think? I mean, am I being crazy here? It's a very interesting thing, because there are examples of people who are getting monetized and being successful on YouTube and getting thousands of views, and they are taking the amateur approach. They are not spending so much time on thumbnails and titles. They're just, what they are is they're consistent. That's the main thing. What they are is consistent. They continually post. They continually go on camera and upload content. And it may be content that is not all that great, but it's who they are. And it's reached an audience because they have found an audience that is interested in what they have to say. For this 80-year-old gentleman we looked at yesterday, his niche, if you want to call it that, is his approach, his audience is for the elderly, those who are over 60, over retirement age. And he basically talks about living as a retired person and about financing and about those kinds of things. So he has reached an audience. So, and he's an amateur in terms of his thumbnail and title, and it's not slick at all. He's not concerned about the looks and all the techniques. He doesn't edit. He just gets on camera and talks. And you can say, well, he's one in a million. Well, I would venture to say that even with slick thumbnails and great titles and great content, it's still one in a million. When you think about only 3 to 5% of all YouTube creators, 3 to 5% of everybody who uploads a video, content creators, 3 to 5% reach the 10,000 sub mark, get more than 10,000 subs. So the other 97% of us, we sort of mess around here in the 10,000 sub level and less. And I would even say that I would be interested to know what the statistics are of how many content creators on YouTube today are below the 1,000 mark, have not monetized yet. Now, I've heard that it's 10%. 10% of content creators get monetized. It's 10% or less. So that means 90% of everyone posting YouTube videos will not get monetized. And that's 1,000 subs and 4,000 watch hours in a year. So how do you define success? How is defining success? I really don't know. I guess we have to define it for each of us. Each of us have to come up with our own definition of success. Each of us have to decide for ourselves what we're going to be happy with and go from there. And I also came across this flywheel. It's a YouTube economic cycle flywheel that I wanted to show you, because it's sort of an interesting way of looking at growing your channel. What you have here is a cycle it's a never-ending cycle. Starts out with attracting viewers. That's the bottom line. And it goes from attracting viewers to getting them to do something, a call to action. You're trying to get those viewers to become more engaged in some way. Once you get them as viewers, the next thing is to get them involved in what you're doing, get them involved in your channel. And that is either become a subscriber, like a video, engage in comments, that sort of thing. And then once that part of the cycle is complete, the next step would be to foster community. Bring those people in who have subscribed or become active on your channel and get them involved in community. we're talking about email lists and community postings, and if you do a live chat, they're going to be attending your live chats every week or however often you do it. It's about building community. That's the next level in the cycle, the next step. And then once you've got this community established, the next thing would be to, I don't like the word upsell because it sounds so manipulative. An upsell is usually, to me, sounds, I just don't like, it's a negative term in my mind. I don't like that word upsell. I would come up with something different, but that's where you're going to offer to your community extra services. You're going to sell them merch, or you're going to offer them a course, or you're going to offer them coaching, or you're going to start a Patreon page and have them join your Patreon page for extra behind-the-scenes exposure. And then the cycle starts over again, where you're continually trying to keep this cycle going, where you're attracting viewers, you're getting them involved as a subscriber, you're feeding them into your community, and then out of that community, you're wanting to offer them a deeper connection and start trying to, in the terms of Think Media, where I got this, is upsell the members. This is what they're referring to as the YouTube ecosystem. So what do you think? Put in the comments what you think of this ecosystem flywheel. And of course, my whole question is centered around those attracting viewers. How do we attract viewers? How do you get viewership? I'm doing this live stream 5 days a week on a daily basis, 2 p.m. in the afternoons from a coffee shop. How do I attract people to my live stream? Well, right now, I can only do what I can do. And that includes going on to the social media platforms and doing some promotions, doing some advertising, putting banner ads. I'm not paying for advertising, but I am posting actively on Instagram and on Facebook Reels and on X. And so those kinds of things get the word out. That's one way to do it. And then occasionally someone will stop by and ask me what I'm doing here at the coffee shop, and I'll tell them and try to spread the word face to face with folks who drop by the coffee shop and look at me over here in my crazy setup and ask me what I'm doing. And that's one way to do it. So, when you're starting from scratch and you're just beginning, that's about all you can do, is begin to post videos and begin to put up the content. It's all about adding the content and being consistent. And then sooner or later, an audience will find you. Somebody will find you. I've got to believe that. I've got to believe that everybody has an audience. Because I've seen it. I've seen it over and over and over again, where everyone can reach someone with their content. And it doesn't matter how professional your thumbnail, your title is. It's about more of making a connection between you and me, making some sort of a one-on-one connection, a person-to-person connection. And I think that's what people are looking for. And they're looking for people who have similar interest, who they can communicate with and talk to and build community with. And I think that's where it's at. Now, I was trying to think of other places in the business world where this kind of thing comes up, in terms of how do you define success and how do you market yourself and how do you try to handle this idea that on one hand you want to be professional and you want to be slick and you want to have great thumbnails and you want to have great titles and you want to have great content and you want to be a top-notch YouTuber, content creator. You want to be professional, but on the other hand, there are those who are succeeding who are doing just the opposite. They're just turning on the camera and they're talking. And they're uploading consistently. And they have found something they're interested in that they want to talk about, and they talk about it. So both can be true. And I was trying to come up with another illustration in the business world where this sort of thing might be parallel. And I was thinking about restaurants and food service. Think about all the different kinds of food services that are available now. I mean, you've got fancy schmancy restaurants where you can spend hundreds of dollars on a meal. You've got your big chain restaurants. You've got your junk food places like McDonald's and fast food joints, Jack in the Box, places like that. Then you've got the mom and shop restaurants that are locally operated, where they just serve a local community. That's a different kind of restaurant or cafe. I mean, I'm coming from the Lamppost coffee shop, which is a locally owned and operated cafe. They've got 2 or 3 Lamppost coffee shops around the Austin area. I don't know exactly how many they have. Maybe 3. So you have the locally operated restaurants, and then you have food trucks. You have people who sell primarily lunches to workers at construction sites and those kinds of things. They go to festivals and fairs and public events and set up a food truck. Then you have the food truck industry. And then I noticed the other day that there are actually people selling food on Facebook Marketplace. You can actually buy a meal off of Facebook Marketplace. People cook food in their own kitchens, they package it, and then people drop by their home and pick it up. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Facebook Marketplace. Evidently, it's a big business. I mean, I saw a video of one guy who cooked barbecue at his home, had the grill set up out in the driveway, and he would cook his barbecue all day, and then people would drop by and pick up their orders. So that kind of parallels what we see on YouTube. There are those of us who are working out of our homes, small scale, person to person, one-on-one. Our numbers are low, our audience is low. Then there are those of us who are much more like food chains. You know, we've got lots of followers, and we've got lots of views, and we've got lots of subs, and we have a far-reaching audience, worldwide audience. And then there are those YouTubers who are more fancy schmancy and have the celebrities and the notoriety and show up on various TV shows and are more or less in the celebrity category, like a big fancy schmancy restaurant. So I guess what I'm saying is that it appears to me, this is just me thinking out loud, it appears to me that there's room for everybody. And there's no one way of defining success. success for you is going to be different than success for me. And it's okay for us to have different ideas of what success means. I mean, it just makes sense that we don't have to all approach YouTube in the same way. We can be different. We can be fancy schmancy and study thumbnails and study titles and become great content creators and storytellers on YouTube. And we can try to build our channel that way, or we can go the opposite direction and just become more of an amateur, flip on the record button and start talking kind of thing. Maybe that's what we can do, is just turn on the camera and just start talking. Don't worry about thumbnails, titles, or content. Just find something you want to talk about and talk about it. Something pisses you off, do a commentary video and just let it go. Just get it off your chest. Just talk about it. So there's all kinds of ways to make this thing happen. It doesn't have to be any particular way. And I kind of feel like these YouTube influencers and coaches and those who are trying to coach and get across to us the importance of doing the thumbnails and titles and really going deep into how to make good content. I think all of those are geared toward a certain audience. They're not going to be for all of us. They're not going to be for everybody. There are going to be some of us who, don't want to go that direction, and there's nothing wrong with that. Because I think what we're seeing is that YouTube is unique in the sense that it's opening up the media platform for every individual. And the key word there is individual. We can be ourselves. We can be different. We can do the kind of content we want to do. We have the freedom to do the kind of content we want to do. If I want to put up a thumbnail that's got nothing but a picture of my thumb on it, then I can do that. In fact, I may try that. I'm just going to do a thumbnail with just a picture of my thumb on it. Or maybe have a thumb and a nail. Get me a nail and a thumb. Stick those on there. I mean, who's to say why not? It's all about being ourselves, being authentic, and sometimes I like to be the contrarian, and when everybody says go one way or do one thing a certain way, I like to do the opposite. When I hear Sean at Think Media tell me I need to really create 3 or 4 thumbnails and test them and get an A/B test and spend a week or 2 trying to figure out which is the best thumbnail and test the market, test the viewer before I pick my thumbnail, I say the hell with it. Just go the opposite direction. Just make a screenshot of your video and stick it on there. Why not? I think all these different ways, everything is acceptable. There's no right way, no wrong way. I mean, I think about the local mechanic who is making $100,000 a year serving a very small number of customers, but they're loyal. They're loyal customers because he's a good mechanic. He's an honest mechanic. They know they won't rip him off. And he's got more work than he can handle. And he's making a good living. I think about that local mechanic. And then I think about some Ford dealership repair shop that is so slick and has all of these employees and has all of these repair bays and all of these people charging through the roof for repairs. And who am I going to trust? Where is my loyalty going to be? Is it going to be with some dealership repair or is it going to be with this local dealer who I can trust? This person I've got a one-to-one connection with, and I think we can do that on YouTube as well. I think it's okay. It's okay to be a Mr. Beast, and it's okay to just be yourself and be an 80-year-old gentleman who gets monetized in 3 weeks because he just turns on the camera and talks. So I think it can all work. That's my 2 cents worth, and I'm sticking to it. Well, this whole week we've been talking about story. Why don't you jump into chat? Let me know what's going on. Let me reboot. My name is Mitch. I'm coming to you from Lamppost Coffee Shop. I'm looking at my stream health, my stream settings on the YouTube studio, and it's telling me the streaming is currently good. The stream status is good and not excellent. So there may be some latency, maybe some hiccups along the way, and I'm sorry for that. I'm at the mercy of the coffee shop Wi-Fi, and depending on a lot of different factors, the Wi-Fi can be good and it can be not so good. I've gone days where the entire feed was excellent. The streaming settings and the strength of the Wi-Fi was excellent. Today it's between excellent and good, and right now it's good. So if you see some hiccups, if you see some latency, I apologize. That's just part of the challenge of going from a public location. But we've been talking about story all week long. Story is a topic of the week, and storytelling. And today we wanted to talk about this idea of bringing yourself into the story. This idea of when we become a part of the story and we stick ourselves into the narrative, how far do we want to go? We want to be authentic, but how much personal information do I want to tell? How much do I want to share? Well, here's some suggestions. Be yourself, but only choose the parts of your personal life that fit the story. It's got to start with the narrative and the story, the topic of your video. If you've got some personal information or something about your personal life that doesn't have anything to do with that topic, then don't mention it. That'll be one way that you can protect your privacy. It's just stick to the parts of yourself that serve the story. Share real moments, not shock value. People will see right through you if you come up with stuff for shock value. So you want to be real. You want to be authentic. You don't want to go for the shocker. Vulnerability works best when it helps the viewer. You know, it's one thing to get into our story and the story with us being the center of it. It's hard for us to keep the viewer in mind because the story is about me. I'm showing you what happened to me. This is my trip. This is my camera gear. This is my story. Look at me. I'm climbing the rocks, the cliffs of Death Valley. Well, let me think about that. Are there cliffs in Death Valley? Maybe. I don't know. But you get the idea of what I'm saying here. When we have a video that's about us, we're the center of it. It's hard for us to turn that on its ear and say, okay, what am I doing here that's going to help the viewer? Does my personal story and what I'm going through here, is that going to help anybody that's watching this? And if not, then why am I doing it? your tone and personality become part of the storytelling. So, again, are you sad? Are you happy? Are you having a good time? Your personality becomes a big part of the storytelling. I've been watching lately Sarah Foss, and Sarah is a van lifer. She's living in a van with her dog Zoa, and she is always smiling. I never see her on camera when she's not smiling. This big, beautiful, bright smile, especially when she's on a trail and she's got Zoa with her and they're going through this beautiful scenery and going down a beautiful trail on a walk, and she's just got this big, beautiful smile, always smiling. So you have to think about the tone of your video. Is it going to be sad? Is it a happy video? Is it a video that is sort of what's the mood? What's the mood? And the tone and personality that you portray is going to come through. So you have to decide, does your tone and personality trait that you're exhibiting in this video, does that go along with the story you're telling? Authenticity builds trust. Trust builds watch time. What we're talking about here is loyalty. If you want loyalty, you've got to be authentic. You want to be real, because people can see right through you. We are so full of fakery these days that I think we're all becoming experts in seeing fakery when it rears its ugly head. So we need to be careful. Well, I'm telling you, the coffee shop's getting busy. As I look around, just about every table in here is full. I guess it's the weather. It's so cold outside, people don't want to do anything outside. It's sort of cold and windy, the cold front's moving through. And just about every table I see is full. So the noise level may be a little high as well, but I'm doing the best I can to keep the noise level down. I've got all kinds of noise filters, and I keep the mic close to my mouth so that I can help prevent some of that as well. So, but it's a busy day. It's a Thursday. Looks like a Friday in here. Man, look at these people. Usually at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it's kind of quiet, but not today. Not today. Jump into chat. Let me know what you're thinking. Are you in the audience? Are you watching me now? If you are, stop into chat and say hi. Come on. I want to hear from you. If you're watching this video 6 months or a year down the road, it's okay for you to go ahead and drop into chat. Drop into comments. Leave me a comment. I want to know that you've seen this video. Let me know what you think. So get involved. Let me know what's going on. Well, I do have a couple of videos here I want us to look at. And I don't want to call this a video critique. I don't want to necessarily say what's good or bad. It's more a video observation, or more of a commentary. We're going to look at a video and just make some comments here and there and kind of see how this YouTube video creator gets across their story. Number one, are they telling a story? Do they have a story that they're trying to tell, or is it something else they're doing? This is Katie Steckley. I believe she's from Canada. She's Canadian. This is her thumbnail. This was posted 3 months ago, has 86,000 views. Let's look at her thumbnail. What do you think? The "I am cringe, but I am free" text is kind of hard to read. The white text is almost blending in with the sky in the background, so she could have done something to make that text probably stick out a little bit better. That's a minor issue. I can read it, it's just kind of hard. If you're looking at this thumbnail on your iPhone, you may not be able to read the "I am cringe" part. I mean, I don't know. She could have put a black stroke around the lettering, which would help it stick out some more. So you need to be watching that. You need to watch the text and how the text blends in with the photo, and see if that text is going to stick out or if it's going to be hard to read. And that is a lot of text for a thumbnail. "I am cringe, but I am free." That's 4 words, for 7 words. You want to try to keep the text down to 3 or 4 words at the most. In terms of her, photo of her with her camera shooting a selfie. She's in some sort of a meadow with the creek running through it. That's okay. I think she could have gotten by with no text at all. Or just maybe the word, the "I am free." Maybe she could have just said "I am free." And then talk about the cringe part of the title. Let's see, her title: "What No One Tells You About Vlogging." Vlogging. And I wish she doesn't do this. I watched the video, and she doesn't define vlogging. And I'm assuming vlogging, when she says vlogging, what she's talking about is a day in the life type of video. A video where you just you're logging your daily life. You're following somebody's life, and this is what we did today. It's sort of a diary, a video diary. I assume that's what you mean by vlogging. So, what no one tells you about vlogging. It's a 12-minute video. It performed pretty good, 86,000 views for 3 months. Not bad, pretty good. So let's see, let's watch it.
I always thought that once I had 100,000 subscribers, or maybe after I'd been vlogging for a year or more, then finally I would not feel awkward filming myself in public. But that was a lie. I definitely still feel awkward. But I have learned ways to cope with that feeling and film anyway. This is just one example of the many things that YouTubers don't really tell you about vlogging. The unspoken tricks of the trade that we all seem to learn eventually, but no one is really talking about. Well, you know me. I'm gonna talk about them. I'm all about exposing the behind the scenes world of being a content creator to make it a little bit less intimidating for you. Because even though it might seem awkward or scary, I believe in you. You can make vlogs, and they're gonna be really good ones. So today I'm gonna tell you what nobody else tells you about vlogging. Starting with one that I get asked about a lot, which is how to not act like a total jerk when you're filming around strangers out in public. Oh, and by the way, thanks to Insta360 for sponsoring today's video. We'll chat more about that.
She's got a sponsor.
Can I film other people in public? Should I ask them first? What's the polite thing to do? What am I allowed to do? Whenever I film myself going out to local coffee shops or restaurants, I often get comments from you guys asking about this. We're gonna talk about my personal ethics and approach to this in just a minute, but first I thought it's worth mentioning the actual real life laws about this are gonna vary from country to country. For example, in my home country of Canada, it is completely and fully legal to film anyone and anything visible from public. So if you're in a public...
Yeah, here in the United States, it's basically the same. She's going to give some good information here about filming in public, and it's pretty close to what we have here in the United States. And we want to pay especially close attention to her suggestions on filming people without their permission if we catch them in a long session, perhaps in the background, and they become more visible and they become identifiable. I think the key here is if we can identify them, if the camera stays on them long enough to be identified, we want to blur them out. And also about kids, we want to stay away from videotaping kids. We need to blur them out as well.
Public space, like on the street, in a park, even in a restaurant, it is fully legal to film whatever you see there. Think about the kind of B-roll shots that you see on the nightly news of people walking down the street or whatever it might be. That's totally legal to film. However, private property owners are allowed to set their own rules about these things, and they can stop you from taking photos or videos. It can actually be a lot more nuanced and complicated than the way I've just explained it, so I'm going to link a video in the description of a lawyer discussing this specific Canadian law. But I recommend looking into this for your own country if you're interested. Now, I don't know about you, but my personal moral standards are not just like, oh, well, as long as it's legal, it's totally fine to do. So let's talk about my personal approach to this. Let's break it down into a few categories. People in the background. So when I'm vlogging and there happen to be people behind me, let's say I'm walking down the street and there's people also walking down the street and I'm talking to the camera, I'm personally not going to worry too much about this. If their face is on screen for a prolonged amount of time and they're really identifiable, then I would go ahead and blur them out. But if you barely see them and they're just passing by me, I'm not going to freak out about it. Category number 2, filming people in your B-roll. If it's a large crowd of people at a concert or an event, for example, and no one in particular is overly identifiable, I think it's fine. Now, I do take special care not to film children, and if they would end up in the background somewhere and their face was identifiable, I would make sure to blur them. And when it comes to more like public figures like street performers, buskers, tour guides, I'm gonna make a point of always leaving them a tip if I'm gonna film them and include a B-roll clip of them in my vlog. Now remember, this is all for B-roll clips, so clips probably without audio that are going to be on screen for like 3 to 5 seconds. The next category is for what we'll call featured characters. If someone is going to be featured in my video, like they're on screen for a prolonged amount of time, I actually show them talking, they're going to be named, I'll ask them first and kind of give them an idea of what my vision for the video is and make sure that they know it's totally cool for them to say no. So let's go through a couple examples. Say I walk into a coffee shop and I want to film some B-roll for my vlog. I might say to the barista, hey, I'm just making a vlog of my day. Do you mind if I film while you make my drink? No worries if not. If you don't have the chance to ask this because they're busy and you don't want to interrupt them, that's totally fair. Personally, I think it's okay if you grab atmospheric shots of the cafe, maybe close-ups of their hands while they're like steaming the milk or whatever, but I get that can be borderline. You might feel kind of creepy doing that.
I wonder what she would do if she was like me and going live from a coffee shop. Well, I have stopped showing much of the coffee shop itself. When I first started the live stream, I showed much more of the coffee shop interior, and then had a second thought and thought I might need to back off a little bit. So let me show you kind of what I do now in terms of if I want to show the interior of the coffee shop. This is obviously my setup. Now that was done so quickly that it's going to be hard to identify anybody. So I think I'm all right in doing that, as opposed to, homing in on somebody that, well, sorry about that. Instead of homing in on somebody for an extended period of time, I can maybe just show brief little, brief little snippets, and not stick on one particular scene for very long. Just keep it moving. As long as you're keeping the camera moving, then I think you'll be okay. She's giving out some good advice here, some good information. Because when we're filming in public, we don't want to get into any kind of trouble.
So, don't then. But again, I want to remind you, it's like fully legal to do this. It's just like what you feel good about. I would say the perfect happy medium is like if you want to grab a top-down clip of them like handing you your drink, that's fine. Generally, you just don't want to get up in people's faces too much, right? Okay, let's talk about another example. Let's say you're going on a trip with friends. This came up for me just recently. I went on a little group trip to France, and before I started filming anything, I just kind of talked to the group and said, hey guys, I'm planning to make a vlog about this for my little YouTube channel, which, let's be real, they all knew about already. They were expecting it. But I made a point of saying, hey, if you guys don't want to be in the video, that's totally cool. Just let me know now and I won't film you. And of course, everyone was like, no way, I want to be in the video. I can't wait to watch it. But it's just good to throw that out there, make sure that everybody's on the same page, and it's going to make you feel less awkward about, filming your friends that have come along when you've made it clear to them what you're doing. So if you are doing all of that, then in my mind, you are totally free to go forth and film yourself in public. And if people...
Okay, so we are talking about putting ourselves in our story, putting ourselves in our narrative, and how we want to protect as much as our privacy as possible and not share so much of our personal details, especially if it doesn't have anything to do with the story we're trying to tell. And so this is good information because it's going to help us be sensitive to when we're filming ourselves, our friends, our family, or those around us in our environment. If we're shooting B-roll, if we're doing all these kinds of things with our camera, we want to be respectful of other people, and especially children. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all of these platforms are very concerned about videotaping children. So if you have any children at all show up in your video, you need to edit them out, or at the very least blur out their face, their features. So just stay away from videotaping children altogether. I'm going to move forward a little bit here because I want to also think about her video here. She's doing a kind of a teaching video, really. It's more of a how-to on shooting a vlog and things that she says people don't talk about very much. What people don't talk to you about when you're vlogging. So she's got a big brand. She's got a commercial here with a brand. She's got a brand deal with this Insta360 camera, and she does a commercial here about halfway through, a little promo, and then she gets back to her video here. So this is sort of a candid shot showing her in a real life situation. It looks a little posed, but
is it a cozy work day from home? Is it a day of putting yourself out there and trying new things? Is it a day of mindfulness and reflection? You're going to want a way of framing your video that's more than just come and spend the day with me or a day in my life. And then if you want to go the extra mile, you can craft your intro as if it's like a movie trailer for your vlog. Give a few teasers of what's to come, give people a sense of the vibe. That'll really help with retention. Okay, secondly, you're going to want to determine the chapters. When you're thinking about your vlog, let's say the day or the week to come, think about what the distinct moments or scenes are going to be. Maybe scene 1 is going to be your morning routine. That's like the opening for your day in the life vlog. And then the second scene is your commute. Even before you film, you can start considering like, okay, maybe my morning routine is going to be like slow and reflective with some nice like acoustic background music. But then maybe to switch it up, my commute is a little bit more hectic and high energy, so I'll put some music with it to match. Thinking about that in advance allows you to have a good flow of energy throughout your video. What you don't want is for everything to feel like you're at a 10 the whole time, or if the whole thing is just like really slow and kind of low energy the whole time. That's not great either. What keeps people interested is the change of pace. And yes, you can factor that in the edit afterwards, but in my experience, it's a lot easier if you start thinking about that before you ever pick up the camera. Finally, my next tip is for when you're actually in the midst of filming. As you're filming your vlog, think about what the takeaway might be. I know it might sound like a kid's storybook, but like, what's the moral of the story? Maybe it's just a feeling that you want to leave your audience with. Maybe you want them to be motivated to try something new, or inspired to build deeper connections with their friends. Whatever it is, I always think that it comes together the best when you're dwelling on what that takeaway might be while you're filming your video, because it might...
That's good stuff. because she's talking about story here. She's talking about having a story and having one specific takeaway, having some meaningful lesson or reason for doing the video. You have to ask yourself, and I have to ask myself, why am I doing this video? What is it going to help? How's it going to help the viewer? There's got to be at least one reason. I want to try to be as simple as possible and keep it to one or two reasons. What's the one or two topics that I'm dealing with here? What's the lesson I'm trying to communicate? And I want to try to make the video hit home with that topic.
Or insights that you could share in the A roll of the vlog, and that'll really help bring it together at the end as well. As cheesy as it might sound, I think having a little takeaway is a great way to bring together a vlog. Like, the thing is, at the end of the day, vlogging is like nonfiction, right? Like, we're just capturing moments that we experience, so there isn't necessarily a perfect moral to the story every time, but having a little like inspirational message or a note to end off on, I just think it like concludes it really nicely. It feels like it's ending then. And it gives you an opportunity to do something a little bit more deep and meaningful than just like the base level, like, here's what I did, like, watch me live my life. It gives you a chance to connect with your audience and like share something a little more. And probably the most important thing that no one tells you about vlogging is that you're never gonna feel ready. You kind of just have to rip off the band-aid and get started. Yes, it's always gonna feel awkward, but eventually it'll start to feel more normal and you'll get better at it. And to me, a little bit of awkwardness in the moment is so worth the memories that you're gonna be preserving for your future self to look back on. Here on my channel, we love to talk about the behind the scenes of being a creator and vlogging especially, so I've got a lot of other videos you can...
All right, very good. So what do you think? She did a pretty good job. Her screen presence is excellent. She knows what she's talking about. She's very comfortable on camera. She's done enough of these videos to where she's comfortable. And in terms of the information she gave, it's pretty good. So all in all, I thought she did a pretty good job. What do you think? Let me know in comments. Jump into chat. Let me know what you think. I think she did okay. And the main thing that we can take away from that, I think, is what we've been talking about all day, and that's having a story. Having a story with at least maybe one major lesson that we're trying to get across, one major reason we're doing the video. There's got to be something we want to communicate. Even if I'm just doing a video about my fishing trip to a lake, I want to try to come up with one lesson or one story that made that trip special, and try to frame the video around that story, around that lesson. All right, let's see. What else are we going to talk about today? Let me get back to my notes here. That was Katie Stickley. And then I've got another YouTuber here, Dave Whipple. And Dave's, I don't know about Dave. First time I've seen him, and I looked at his video, and I'm not real sure. Well, I'll tell you. We've got time. We'll just take a quick look at Dave and let you take a gander at him. This is his thumbnail. Now I get it. Now I get it. YouTube success is hiding right in front of you. Well, let's see.
What's really going on YouTube? You watch a channel that... What's really going on YouTube? You watch a channel that you really like, and you're like, oh, that's a really good video. And then you go make another video that doesn't perform, nobody watches it. And you're like, well, I want to make videos like this person. I want to make videos like this person. But why is their video doing so well where my video, which is similar, isn't doing good at all? We're going to answer that question today. My name is Dave Whipple, and this channel is all about helping regular, ordinary, blue-collar people do the best they can with their YouTube content, grow their channels, and ultimately, hopefully make a living on the platform. So when you're watching a channel that you really like and you think, well, I could do this type of content. This is right up my alley. This is who I am. This is in my wheelhouse. And you make content that's you think is similar, but this other content performs and your content doesn't. What's the problem? What's the major disconnect? Why does their version work and your version doesn't? Let me tell you a story. I have always been a boxing fan. I love boxing. It's the only sport I like. If I had to play a sport, it would be boxing. I did a little bit of boxing in high school. We had a little local boxing club, and I wasn't great at it, but I loved it. And I've always liked the sport. I've always followed it. I don't care about football, baseball, basketball. None of that stuff is interesting to me. I'm a boxing fan. And one of my favorite boxers, of course, is Mike Tyson. Heavyweight boxing is super fun. And I've watched every Mike Tyson fight. The guy's the most famous boxer in the last 50 years, easy, since Muhammad Ali. And one thing that's always kind of rubbed me the wrong way, non-boxing fans will watch Mike Tyson and be like, oh, the guy's an animal. He's a brute. And he just goes in there and smashes people. Mike Tyson is one of the technically best fighters there's ever been. His footwork, if you just watched his footwork, if you understood the sport and you'd watched his footwork, his footwork is impeccable. His feet are very fast. He pivots and gets around to...
Okay, he's starting, I don't know about you. This is just me. He's starting to lose me. The length of this story it's an illustration. It's not really a story. It's an illustration of the point he's trying to make, and it's getting a little bit on the long side. He needs to get to the point. I'm starting to lose a little bit of interest here. I'm going to move it forward.
See channels that you like and never stop and look at what's really going on. Like, oh, this person's content is really good. It's in my wheelhouse. I'd like to do something similar. But
okay, so the point he's trying to make here is that you can admire and like Mike Tyson as a boxer, but you can't go out and try to imitate him and be that kind of a boxer. You can't. The idea is you can't copy the greatest in the world and be great yourself.
without really studying what's going on, you're not going to make a product that's like that. One of the best things you can do going forward in your video career is start analyzing how a video is built. Not that I like this channel, not that I like this content or that I enjoyed this video. Start analyzing what's actually happening. Analyze the thumbnail. Analyze the title. Is there a twist to the title? Is it a very basic, simple title? Does the title, have a question mark in it, so it's baiting you with like hidden information? What's the contrast look like in the thumbnail? Is it very easy to tell what the subject is based on the photograph? Because that's all a thumbnail is, a photograph. Might be doctored, might be some lettering on it, but it's just a photograph. What's really going on? What's the hook like? The first 15 seconds of the video, is there a good solid hook there? If you're watching a video and it's got a good solid hook and your content doesn't, you've...
God almighty, I wish I had $1 for every time I've heard somebody talk about having a good hook in the first 10 seconds. We know that we need a hook in the first 10 seconds. But I've seen videos without a hook take off and get 100,000 views. So I told you I was confused about this whole thing, about listening to all these suggestions about what we have to have in order to succeed.
Automatically, you've missed the point that there's a great hook in the beginning. When you're watching the hook, what is being explained in the voiceover? What is the creator telling you about why this video is great and that you're in the right spot? How are they portraying that? How long is the hook before the beginning of the video to the end of the hook? Try to identify that. How long are the shots? Are the shots 1 second shots? Does a shot change every 2 seconds? Does it change every 3 seconds? Once you're into the video,
Okay, I'm getting a little bit bored here because he's not really telling me something different.
every 2 seconds, and I'm seeing everything. When you take a video and dissect it like that, you don't just get the overall impression of the video. You start to understand how it works, the mechanics of it. Keep an eye on lighting. Is the shot really brightly lit? After you do that for a little while, watching people's videos, you can really say, okay, this is what's really going on.
I do like the idea of analyzing videos. That's what I do. I mean, I look at a lot of YouTube videos and try to do breakdowns of what I think is making them successful. And it seems like the more I try to break down and analyze a video, the more various and more indistinct they become. They're also unique. Everybody's got their own slant on things, their own way of doing things. So it's
like
very
got a goofy title. It's like, you wouldn't believe what I did last weekend. And my snowmobiling footage is all one shot of a GoPro on the handlebars, and this other channel, their snowmobiling footage, there's a lot of tripod shots, there's a lot of wide shots.
I think what's bothering me about this approach is that about comparing ourselves and comparing our videos to the videos of others. If we take the assumption, or if we take the preposition, or come up with the idea that we're going to buy into, that everything is different, everybody's unique, and we all have our own way of doing it, then what good does it do for us to compare our video with someone else? And I see what he's saying in terms of trying to compare videos that are successful and those that are not, and trying to learn and grasp some lessons that we can learn. And I get that, and it's important. It's important that we try to understand what it means to make good content. But on the other hand, do we really need to go very deep into analyzing other videos? I just don't know. What do you think? Let me know, because I really struggle with this. I keep thinking about, approaching this whole idea of content creation from a different point of view. I'm just wondering if we're looking at this from the wrong direction. Maybe we're missing something. Maybe it's not about comparing our videos or comparing YouTube videos and coming up with commonalities. Maybe it's more about looking at ourselves and looking at how we can approach YouTube in a more personal and unique way based on who we are, as opposed to being based on what others are doing. I don't know.
There's a lot of close-up shots. There's a lot going on. And you can know what that is, what that stuff is that's going on. And you can say, oh, okay, I can see. Even though I thought I was doing the same thing, when I broke it down, I really wasn't. And you're not going to be copying anybody's style, because there's millions of YouTube creators out there, and they're all doing kind of similar things. Watch an episode of Mythbusters. You're going to see that they're following basically the same thing. They're doing X amount of seconds per shot. They're doing different angles, close-ups, distance. What is it about that you like? As soon as you start thinking that way, it all makes sense. It's like you've just kind of unlocked YouTube in a way. You're like, oh, okay, I can now understand why I like things.
Well, that may be the question of the day. Why do I like things? and trying to figure out, why do I like that video? I mean, I don't know. Why do I not like certain videos? What videos turn me off? But just because I like a certain video doesn't mean it's necessarily a good video. It's just a good video for me. You may hate it. I mean, it's all so personal and so subjective. I feel like we're all trying to come up with these techniques and these lessons and these ways of doing something, and it's grasping wind. It's trying to grab wind in our hands. Just blows right past us, because this whole idea of content creation and communicating with human beings on YouTube is so unique and so personal and so various. And it's just, I'm not sure there's any lesson to be learned other than to tap into ourselves and tap into our own uniqueness and try to bring that across in some way. What do you think? Are there common lessons that we can learn about doing thumbnails and titles and making content? Are there laws that we need to follow? I suppose there are, but I don't think it's as easy as some think it is, or maybe it's easier than we think it is. Maybe we're overanalyzing. That's what makes this whole idea of content creation so interesting. Well, I'm about out of time. Looks like we're going to bring it to a close today. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, from the Lamppost Coffee Shop, and we'll continue to hash out our thoughts on content creation and YouTube and try to figure this stuff out. Because the idea is we want to create content that will help our viewers and add some value and hopefully grow our channels into something special that we can be proud of. So we'll go out and make it a good day. What part of the day is left in your part of the world, go out and do something nice for somebody. And we'll see you tomorrow back right here at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Have a good day. We'll see you later.